Hitman Freelancer is undoubtedly one of the most challenging modes you could ever face in Hitman. No matter of your skill level, the sheer amount of curveballs that are being thrown your way means that you're bound to miss eventually. In regular Hitman, that's not that big of a deal, since you can always restart, but that privilege is not available in Freelancer. And since mistakes cannot be unmade, it means they are often punished by the highest degree. But what if I told you that you can eliminate a vast majority of said mistakes by simply prepping for them ahead of time? You see, in Freelancer, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. This is why one of the most underrated and often overlooked parts of the mode take place right here. I mean, think about it. What good is it coming up with a perfect plan if you don't have the tools to execute it? Take the coin for example. In Freelancer you can only get a single variant in both your temporary tools and both items. However, both are extremely easy to lose on a mission. Worst of all, if you fail the campaign, you will not only lose the coin from your temporary tools, but also the one from your permanent ones if you happen to have it on you. Now, a coin is one of, if not the most important items in the game. No other item can help you lure NPCs into position like the coin can. It is an absolute lifesaver for unwieldy targets. I bring it with me on every single mission, yet I rarely use the tools variant. And there's a very good reason for it. If you leave the mansion on the way to the dock, you can see a coin shining in your instinct mode. This is a regular coin that you can pick up with no fear whatsoever of losing it. The other spawn possible is the one on the way to the helicopter. It should spawn in a nest right in front of it. Of course, there are cases where it won't spawn at all, in which you will have to use your tools variant, but most times you can easily get away by using these versions, as you'll never have to fear losing them. And that's not all. I'm sure by this point we all know about the banana laying on the kitchen table, an excellent tool which can help you trip certain NPCs for mercies or even your targets. But did you know that's not the only tool that can help you do that? Once you unlock the grapevines next to the kitchen, you can use a knife to acquire them. The grapes work exactly the same way the banana does, except they take only a single spot in your inventory, a great addition if you need an extra trap or a replacement if you're running out of room. From there, we have to take a look at the emetic mushroom, which can provide not one, but 4 different types of poison. If you pick it up as is, it will have the effect of a simple emetic vial, but take it downstairs to the medical room and you can transform it into an emetic syringe. Take it into the shed instead, and the emetic flower can be transformed into a lethal vial. It will take 0 points in your inventory, and it is one that can also be turned into a syringe by going downstairs to the medical room. A lethal syringe is by far the single most valuable item when doing a silent assassin run that doesn't require hiding bodies. It is exceptionally useful since it's impossible to know ahead of time if the NPCs you're going after will be in locations that have containers. And if you were to go out fishing, you can easily grab yourself a fish that can be transformed into a sedative poison vial and later a sedative syringe. Continue roaming outside and you can find a rusty nail. It's basically a one-time lockpick in case you happen to lose your gear. Same thing can be said about the rusty crowbar. Another big thing is that since Freelancer isn't as focused on stealth gameplay, sometimes you'll get objectives that require you to use explosives. However, instead of wasting the explosives in your tool's inventory that are often quite heavy on your loadout and hard to replace, you can make your way to the garage for your own custom explosive. You'll need to take the fuse cell next to the garage door and the gunpowder on the shelf next to your working bench. Adding them together will create a custom explosive that is not only remote, which means you'll be able to activate it under your own volition, but it will also take up 0 spots in your inventory. It's basically a free item. You can also grab a hammer for a non-lethal melee in there as well. There is also a stethoscope in your medical room that can be used as a fiber wire or alternatively be found while fishing. And if you decide on going on one of those eco-crime syndicates and for whatever reason end up missing a taser, you can always bring the car battery found in the garage instead. Now, when picking syndicates, make sure you have the resources available for the syndicate of choice. Use common sense. Don't pick a syndicate that requires a shuriken kill when you don't have one available, or eco-crime which requires bringing water, oil, and tasers when you've just lost all of your tools. I would say maps are a little bit more important than objectives, however, since even the worst objectives can be overcome on the good maps. Meanwhile, even the best objectives will be a struggle on a really bad one. When on location, there's a few things you need to keep in mind. First of all, let's deal with the obvious. Couriers carry merces, which can be used to purchase weapons and tools, extremely valuable in the early levels of the mode and completely useless in the later ones. Since we need to knock them out in order to get the mercies, a lot of people either trank them or use the banana. However, in my opinion, the best tool to deal with them is the grapevine. That way, you don't waste a shot of your tranquilizer and the banana, which can be both a distraction and a melee takedown. When it comes to saves, they serve the same purpose, although they also sometimes appear as an optional objective. Of course, you can always try and scan the tablets and documents in order to unlock it, but if you struggle to find them, or maybe they're just in bad locations, you can always use an explosive instead. If you don't have one available, just find a fire extinguisher. It will get the job done after a single shot. Now, when it comes to suppliers, it's a little bit more tricky, as there's quite a few weapons that can be acquired for free. A silent pistol is absolutely paramount, and here you have two options. The Hako 9S covert can be reliably found buried in the Isle of Sgale. You will just need to find a shovel and dig it up. On the other side, we have the Hawk 21, which is consistently carried by all assassins during showdowns. Which one you prefer is down to your own preference. When it comes to sniper rifles, you once again have two options. The first can be found in Mumbai, right behind the Kashmirian, and the second is the sniper nest in Mendoza. Both of these sniper rifles are unsilenced, with no zoom options or slowdown perks. So I would highly recommend updating to a proper one when you get the chance to do so. For the rest, you can find both a silenced SMG and assault rifle on most of the elite guards in Dubai. My personal favorite location to get them is the security room on the upper floor. And when it comes to shotguns, you can find the legendary golden shotgun by robbing the vault in New York, while dressed as the Rabbit. The great thing about this shotgun is that it only takes a single inventory slot and it can be hidden on you. Speaking of New York, you can also find the burial dagger and legendary curved knife in the safety deposit boxes on the lowest floor. Now, these aren't all the free items, obviously, but they are the ones you need, as they cover all the classes and give you the opportunity to never miss out on an optional objective that requires them. The rest can be bought separately from the store or earned at the end of a syndicate run. Now, when it comes to the targets, there's really not too much to say here. They're just slightly better or worse than your average contract/escalation variant. However, since Silent Assassin is no longer the binding force, you can get away with some alternative methods. For starters, I know that shooting targets point blank may seem tempting, but you need to understand how the game works. If an NPC sees the target being shot, they will call a guard to investigate. But if a guard sees the target being shot, they will immediately be able to trace the shot straight to your location. Which means you need to get out of there as quickly as possible or hide if you don't want a shower of bullets coming your way. That's why I would highly advise you to avoid this direct method from choke points, where you'll be unable to hide or get out quickly enough before the guards appear. Secondly, when performing the eco objectives, it may seem logical to dump the water/oil container on the location after you're done using it. But that is a big mistake, as bringing them back, even when they're used up and empty, will refill them automatically and add them back into your inventory. That can be the difference when also bringing a taser between you getting all of your gear back at the same time or having to choose between the two. When playing on Mendoza, always make sure to equip one of two suits. The Requiem suit will give you an alternative exit in the form of the shrine, which is very useful, especially since safe exits is Mendoza's biggest Achilles heel. And although the shrine is technically a trespassing area, it is by far the safest and closest option near the middle of the map, where most of your playthroughs will conclude. On the other hand, the Midnight Black suit will give you full access to Don Yates' mansion grounds. You won't be able to enter into it, but you'll be able to roam completely free on the outer portions. And a final, more general tip is to always make sure you pick the temporary tools over the permanent ones when available. Outside of firearms, every single gadget and weapon has a duplicate in the tools section, one that is far easier and cheaper to replace if lost on a mission. So unless forced to use a permanent unlock, a free tool would always provide you with the safest option. And with that, we've come to the final section of the video, which are the showdowns, and much like I explained in the start of the video, the showdown itself doesn't begin on the location, but in the Safehouse. The leader's profile will give you very important clues that could be of big help to you in completing them. For example, if the target is a foodie or dehydrated, that means they will eat or drink something in the location. Something that you can poison to get yourself an incredibly easy assassination. Same thing can be said for a target that's a smoker. A single propane flask, when they light up their cigarette, will pretty much guarantee you an easy takedown with a silent assassin. Targets will never perform an action that isn't listed in their behavior. So, if they are a dehydrated smoker, you will never see them opening up a book or acting paranoid. They will always look and perform actions as written in their bio. Assassins will blindly follow some of them, but they can be easily dispatched not only by using tranks, seekers and pistols, but also with a single coin. Just make sure to plant it close to them and you'll be able to lead them to any location you see fit. Lookouts are enforcers to you. They will spot you in any disguise or suit only, though it will take a very long time and a very short distance in order for them to do so. If spotted, the targets will immediately begin extraction, so be prepared to act quickly. Phones can be used based on your target's purpose to lure all suspects of that same group into any location you like. All you have to do is make sure the phone you've picked up is the exact same category as the leader you're hunting. If you find yourself in a situation where isolation is simply not possible, this may be your saving grace. And now for the final things. On the desk where you select your location, you will find a small PC, which allows you to select Hardcore mode. This mode, when activated, will remove all of your temporary tools and alert all locations to your presence, meaning all targets will become enforcers and all maps will be turned onto master difficulty layouts. In return for increasing the difficulty, you will earn a little bit more mercies when completing missions. Personally, I find this mode to be unnecessary, as regular Freelancer is challenging enough as is, and in my opinion, this mode turns Freelancer into a less enjoyable and more of a grindy experience. On the other hand, on the table next to your weapons, you'll find prestige levels. They can be activated by a laptop as well. When activated, you will lose all of your weapons, permanent or not, all mercies, and basically start Freelancer from scratch. A good feature for people who have nothing else to do. But personally for me, destroying all of my weapons and hard-earned mercies just so I can earn them again makes absolutely no fucking sense, and I have less than zero interest in doing so. But then again, your experience may vary. And with that, I believe I've covered pretty much everything there is to cover about Hitman Freelancer in 2025. It's just my way of giving back to the community. I mean, you know what they say, light a man a fire and you'll keep him warm for a day, but light a man on fire and he'll be warm for the rest of his life. I truly hope I've enlightened you and lit the fire within you, so now you can go out there and burn your way through this game mode as I have. Until next time, this has been WildGold. Like, subscribe, and thank you oh so very much for watching.